Let me ask you something important. If Jesus never clearly said, "I am God, worship me," why do millions believe he is divine? This is not a provocative question. It is a historical and theological one. Before we continue, this discussion is about texts and beliefs, not about attacking any community. Now, let's slow down. When we examine the earliest sources about Jesus, the Gospels, what do we actually find? We find Jesus praying. We find Jesus fasting. We find Jesus thanking God. We find Jesus saying, "The Father is greater than I." Now pause. If Jesus were God himself, who was he praying to? Prayer is not performance. Prayer is submission. And submission requires distinction between the one who submits and the one who is submitted to. That distinction is fundamental. In multiple passages, Jesus refers to God as my Father and my God. After the crucifixion narrative, he says, "I ascend to my Father and your Father, to my God and your God." Think carefully. If he says my God, does that not imply dependence? God does not have a God above him. Now some may say this refers to his human nature, but here is where complexity enters. If salvation depends on belief, should belief rely on later philosophical explanations, or should it rely on clear, direct statements? The concept of dual nature, fully God and fully man, was not explained by Jesus in those exact terms. It developed over time. Early Christianity had debates, serious debates. Some believed Jesus was divine. Some believed he was subordinate. Some believed he was a prophet. Councils were formed to settle these disagreements, and through these councils, certain doctrines became official. Now think about this calmly. If something is central to salvation, should it require centuries of debate to clarify, or should it have been stated clearly from the beginning? Islam presents a simpler explanation. Jesus, peace be upon him, was a mighty messenger of God, born miraculously, given miracles, given revelation, but always human, always a servant of God. The Quran emphasizes repeatedly he was not more than a messenger. This does not diminish him, it preserves his true status. Respect does not require worship. Now consider another detail. In the Gospels, Jesus says he does not know the hour. He says only the Father knows. Limited knowledge is not divine knowledge. Divinity implies absolute knowledge, complete awareness, no limitation. Limitation implies humanity. Now reflect on this. If God became human, would he cease to be independent? Would he experience hunger, fatigue, ignorance of certain matters? Because the Gospels describe Jesus experiencing hunger, sleep, emotion, and even distress. These are not flaws, they are human realities. But humanity and absolute divinity are not the same category. Islam preserves a clear line. God is the creator. Jesus is the creation. God sends messengers. Messengers deliver guidance. The messenger is honored but never worshipped. Now ask yourself honestly, is the simpler explanation more consistent with the texts, or is the layered explanation necessary to reconcile tension? This is not about emotions, it is about coherence. If Jesus prayed, then he was not the ultimate object of prayer. If Jesus depended on God, then he was not independent. If Jesus called God greater, then hierarchy exists. Hierarchy contradicts equality in essence, and equality in essence is required for shared divinity. So the question remains, did Jesus clearly teach divinity, or did later theology interpret his role that way? Islam answers this firmly. Jesus called people to worship the one God. The same God worshipped by Abraham, the same God worshipped by Moses, the same God worshipped by Muhammad, peace be upon them all. One continuous message, one consistent call. Worship God alone. No division, no incarnation, no shared essence. Absolute unity. I will leave you with this question. When belief becomes complex, should we default to complexity or return to the clearest statements? Do you agree with this point? Like if yes. Comment if you disagree. For full discussions like this, subscribe to the channel, because truth does not fear questions.